I would like to say why I think the urban dimension is so important. And the question is that should we have this European Union, a European urban policy? If it's included in the treaty or not, doesn't matter. There are many things which are not in the treaty we are doing, and there are many things in the treaty we are not doing. But this is the treaty is a kind of framework. And of course, maybe you can when you listen to the politicians now, they are trying to say, okay, is the actual form of treaty valid? I mean, this way of presenting the framework. Should we have in future a kind of very short American-style constitution? Should we have a very clear framework and not the mixture of constitution and the different policies, which is the exceptional, the form of the European treaties we are proud of. The problem is what we will have, what we will need in the future when we will have the two-speed Europe, which is the fact, which is not theory. This is the fact today. And this is ongoing very, very quickly. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, Mr. Schäuble proposed in Brussels the special parliament for the Eurozone. I quote, so it was not hidden. No, it was just like we should create the European Parliament for the Eurozone. And if it's not possible, because the treaty doesn't allow to do it, we should do something which is acceptable by the treaty. Like, for example, the sub-parliament inside the European Parliament for the Eurozone. Or it's not possible, we can use the subcommittee inside the committee for the Eurozone. This is reality today. This is not theory. This is practical. I mean, that's why what we will have in the future, nobody knows. Nobody knows what will be in treaty. So in fact, we should work on the things we think are very important, to put them in the future legal text. Because at the same time, we have the Ukraine, and of course, I'm from Poland, and I think it's not about Ukraine. It's not about Russia. It's about the European Union. Shall we survive or not? Will the Russians be clever enough to destroy it? But they are doing everything to destroy the European Union, and we will see what will be the result. This is how to put us against each other. All right, but this is about different elements. But some of the history. Why the urban dimension was not very popular in the past? Because it was not accepted neither by the member states nor by the cities. So the cities were not very happy with this, because they were afraid that someone will prepare something to dictate them different policies. The cities, as you know, when we say cities, from the one point of view, we are speaking about the processes inside the population, territory, etc. But at the same time, when we speak cities, we think about the city authorities. We should be very clear what we are talking about. About these different problems, processes which are in the cities, and the cities as the actor. When you say cities behave, we speaking about local authorities. We are speaking about the multi-level governance. The cities were against. It means not the population. The cities always were against, because they were afraid of overcharging them with different elements, which is the practice, day by day practice. We have the new norms of the environment protection. We have the new norms of something. We have the cities are paying for this. Someone is creating the norms on the national level or European level, and the cities pay for this. So they are afraid of having, again, something which will charge them with something new. So they were not very happy with this. In the 90s, I was the vice president of CMR. It was 10 years before the Polish accession. I took part in the negotiation about the éco-ouverture with Jean-Charles Leguet at that time. So I was 10 years before the accession. I was in the group of negotiating the money for the cities for éco-ouverture. So it was very interesting for me, this kind of experience. What was the sensibility of the cities while speaking to the European Commission? What were the expectations from the? At the same time, we were discussing the problem of the future Committee of the Regions. By the way, discussion of the regions and cities, or just of the regions? It was the debate there. This is still very, very actual, very important. I mean, who are the important actors? I mean, sub-national actors. If we think that Europe of regions is a symbol, which is gone, I mean, you know, Europe of regions is a kind of symbol we are using. This is a kind of political poetry, more and more, because nobody thinks about Europe of regions today. Why? Because Europe of regions is a political problem. This is the problem of Catalonia, of Scotland, etc. This is not the problem of money for the territories of regions. This is about the regional authorities, about competences, and overlapping of two processes. I mean, political process, administration process, with the European money produced a kind of very difficult moment where the member states were afraid of losing the importance of the governments. They were afraid of regions, So that's why, as you can notice in the treaty, when the European Union is the international organization of the member states, full stop. Full stop. So it means that who are the members? The governments represent the members. Who are the regions? The regions are the partners to the governments. This is a very interesting debate we are having with the Commission about the partnership agreement. Who is partner to whom? What are the partners? I mean, the partners of the European Commission, the regions, the partners with the cities, or the partners to the government? They are the partners to the government. Of course, they are the partners to the government. Well, in a sense, they are the partners. Everybody is a partner for everybody. But in fact, legally speaking, the partnership agreement is signed between the government and the Commission. Full stop. The rest is the internal element of the member states. It's important to understand it, because when I was writing the report in Spain for the Council of Europe, Congress Local and Regional Authorities, it was the time of the Aznar government. A very good experience, because we were working a report about regionalization in Spain. What we discovered in all the ministries, all of them, they were speaking how to reduce the importance of regions. All of them. Say, okay, we lost completely because we lost the control on budget, we lost the control over everything, they are doing whatever they want, so we cannot manage. We should reduce it. But according to the Constitution, it's not possible. It's gone. What was the proposal to reduce the importance of the regions? To reinforce the importance of the cities. I mean, to make a balance. Regions with cities. Because the cities are less dangerous in political sense. They are not political bodies. Even the big presidents of the cities, or some of them are very big politicians. London is important, for example. Great London. But in fact, cities is not a political problem. Cities is much more about the management, etc. So that's why speaking about cities is pushing the regions at the same level to the same debate, like the Committee of Regions. You know what is the problem with Committee of Regions? The small cities from France are doing what we are doing with the big landers from Germany. And the big landers from Germany, they say, what are you doing with the French mayor from 300 people? And we are presenting 17 million people. When we put them on the same platform, about the platform of territorial action, it's not about the politics, it's not about the international politics, it's about the management problem, etc. So we should not neglect the element of the political processes which are ongoing between the regions, member states, etc. This is getting more and more important in the context of Catalonia, Scotland, northern Italy, the last referendum in Venice, I think, yeah, and of course the Russian, I mean Kosovo, as a case, and of course some other ideas which should follow. Please read the newspapers. Who were the observers during the referendum in Crimea? Who were the observers? Who went there to observe the referendum from the European regions? Who was supporting them? Very interesting, because it shows there will be less and less interest of the member states to reinforce the regional authorities. This is quite clear, and everybody should be aware of this. And of course, the very interesting question, we are talking about regional policy in the financial terms, but we should not neglect the other element. We in the European Parliament, we had the questions, if Scotland leaves UK, will UK accept Scotland as a member of the European Union? If it's unanimity. Well, if Catalonia leaves Spain, will Spain accept Catalonia as the new member state of the European Union? Or will London accept Catalonia as a member? Or will Madrid accept Scotland? Not to create the new case. This is about regional policy also. What is the regional policy, cohesion policy? Is it the distribution policy? Or is it the question of different kind of making policy in the European territory? It's not by chance that the debate about the territorial cohesion appeared, which is a very old French tradition. La cohésion territoriale, this is a very old concept, that's nothing new. But it was the moment, you remember 2 years ago, when everybody was speaking about territorial cohesion. And we started not about the administrative body, but about territories. We were speaking of maybe not NUTS 2, maybe NUTS 3, maybe NUTS 4. Maybe we'll change geography. It finished very quickly. It was not to GDP as the main criteria, and it's finished. It's over. I mean, we have it in the treaty. So I'm giving you the context because it was also the important when the CAP was going down, and it was the methodology how to save CAP. It was a very interesting shift in the cohesion policy. We changed the cohesion, but you remember there was a change of the cohesion policy from the typical traditional cohesion policy to pro-growth or pro-investment policy. We called it Lisbonization of the cohesion policy. It was not by chance. The question is it still worth doing? Because if we take it seriously, I mean, pro-growth, all the European policy are pro-growth. All of them are pro-investment. So what is the specificity of the cohesion policy? A very, very simple. This is in the national envelopes. Everything which is not in the national envelopes is cut first during the negotiation. This is Europe today. We experienced it during the last negotiations. What was the first victim of the negotiation? Everything which was common policy. I mean, research, framework, and of course a very interesting, beautiful new instruments for the transport, etc. Very interesting. Not created by DG Regio, but a new instrument which was specially created for the transport. It was first victim. Cohesion policy, no. Why? Because everybody was fighting for his envelope. Everybody speaks about common Europe, and everybody defends its own interest. Maybe one day it will be different, but today this is true. So that the cohesion policy is in fact replacing all the policies. In fact, this is the only investment policy, which is the common policy. This policy, which in fact enters into the innovation, in transport, everything you want, broadband, everything is in the cohesion policy. Because this is the only real money which is in the national envelopes. So that's why the negotiation about the cohesion policy is so important. And that's why all the member states, even these who are against the cohesion policy, there are some member states who are from the very beginning, from the renationalization of the cohesion policy. At the end, they are defending the policy. So I think this is very important that the cohesion policy is this kind of element. When we were discussing about the urban issues, which appeared, as I said, a reluctance from the member states and a reluctance from the cities, it was a very good ideas in the urban 1, urban 2, etc. What happened before the last period, 7-13? I remember the debate with the former Commissioner Danuta Hübner, because the very, I think, not very successful idea of reducing the number of community initiatives, not only urban, but it was the idea of withdrawing the Commission from the field. The Commission started to behave like the supervisor, controller and supervisor. And we told the Commission what they are doing. You are withdrawing yourself from the field, you will lose the instrument, you will have to supervise everything, and you will be guilty of everything which is wrong. which is the case today because the Court of Audit is attacking the Commission of Design. And before the Commission was the initiator of the element, was present on the field with all the community initiatives. When it was urban, it was Interreg, in fact, it was this kind of elements which were mainstreamed. And when, Rob, you said, we told them at the beginning, before the period, we said, it will be the mistake. It will be the mistake because you will lose, because some of the member states will take it on board and some of them will not take it on board. And the second element that we proposed at that time, 2006, it was the delegation of competences and possibility of managing to the city level. We proposed it in 2005 and 2006. It was absolutely rejected by the Commission. Why? Because the Commission told us, I quote, this is subsidiarity and the member states will never agree with this. So we just couldn't introduce it into the text. The situation today is completely different. Not because of the member states they changed the position, the Commission changed the position. And during last years, when the Commission discovered, this is my private opinion, maybe Peter doesn't agree, but the Commission discovered that they are just pushed out from the field. And only the supervisors, they started to think differently. And today we have a situation, the Commission is back on the field, starting to be back on the field, more active in the different initiatives, not symbolic ones, which I would like to quote some of them, beautiful events in Brussels with beautiful ideas disappeared after 2 days. But anyway, okay, we know them, all of us, we experience it. But okay, some of them are beautiful, some of them are just maybe experiment. But the Commission is back on the field. And of course, the urban dimension is one of the elements when the Commission found that it can be a real instrument to act. Why? Because this instrument, what Robert just discovered, is not only the cohesion policy. This is absolutely horizontal. This is horizontal by definition. And this is horizontal in practice. Because on which level we can show the integrated approach. The best level to show it is on the city level. And of course the best is on the middle-sized city. This is the best place because this is if it's not integrated, it will not work. Just this is reality. So that's why we observed that there's several elements of the action of the Commission which are very interesting. First, step by step, introducing the elements of the territorial elements, territorial agenda, Leipzig Charter, etc., to introduce into the debate of the member states. It was very clever. It was just step by step, not pushing the member states. They were starting to think about it. On the way, it was the territorial cohesion. Okay, it was used as an instrument, but it's not very important today. But it exists. Second, is to reintroduce the community initiatives, because we have it now. It's not called community initiatives. We have the urban elements inside the mainstream, but in fact we have some kind of pilots. The very famous 5% is a kind of pilot, is a pilot on the national level. Of course, I remember the Copenhagen meeting, and the Minister of Denmark, responsible for regional development, said, I quote, if you give me 5%, you can take it. It's nothing. I'm not interested. He hasn't read the paper. He hasn't read the paper. This is at least 5% and no limit for urban projects. But it's kind of pilot. Why it's a pilot? Because this element, Commission started to be active. It means if you want to use this instrument, you have to create the links between the cities and the surrounding neighbors, functional areas, urban areas, etc. And this is about policy making. It's not about distribution. Some months before, we introduced, as the European Parliament, we introduced the money for the urban. As you know, this is the old tradition of German communities about Ruben, we proposed some millions to the European Commission to prepare the manual for urban. Of course, for today is a little bit theoretical because the DG Agri is not especially happy to work with the DG Regio, but this is typical for all the administration around the world. But of course, our first proposal for 5% was cities with the rural. Of course, it's more or less, you can find it in the partnership agreement because it's about the complementarity between two policies, but we finished with the urban areas. This is at least 5% for urban areas using the ITI, as you noticed, not obligatory ITI in 5%. Some of the member states even didn't notice it. It's not obligatory for the 5%. It can be used for the 5%. The 5% is, I mean, at least 5% is to push the member states to discuss the relation between cities and the surroundings. This is not about the list of cities, because we delete the list of cities. In the partnership agreement, we have the list of criteria. Because the members, the cities were furious when they discovered that it should be a list. It means that the government will discuss with the Commission the list of cities. No, the Committee of Regions protested. So that's why it was changed. And now we have the list of criteria. So it allows the member states to open the debate. It means that the urban element is more and more important. Why? Because it's horizontal. Because it's giving us a real possibility for integrated approach. Because it's not political. It's not about the influence. I mean, it's important which party is in the local authorities, but it's less important than on the regional level in some of the member states. But it's also about the very long perspective. It's not by chance that the Commission started to think about the urban policy in Europe. If you know that we have this analysis of cities of tomorrow. And in fact, according to the treaty or not according to the treaty, it's about European urban policy. This is the fact. It means that we started a very serious debate. Which processes in the cities we should, on the European level, we should support, which processes we should facilitate, what do we expect from the development of the cities in the future? Do we want to have a big metropolis, or we should base on the middle size, etc.? This is our problem. And I think this is the discussion we need absolutely. What about the urban sprawl? This is the real problem. How can we use European funds to avoid some of the processes which are very dangerous? So this is, I mean, Cities of Tomorrow is made by the European Commission, and it opens a very interesting way. By the way, you notice that the European Commission signed the agreement with China, which is the urbanization. We still have the problems inside the European Commission about the coordination of this very horizontal element. It's not very easy that all the DGs are working on the same direction with the urban issues. By the way, DG Regio changed the name. And you have it, DG Regio and Urban. Okay, so now we expect that they will coordinate all the urban issues in different DGs, which is a so risky exercise. But we should, for example, we expect that the DG Regio will be more active in the smart cities, which is now in the hands of DG Energy and DG Move. But this is quite typical. So I think that what we are observing today is thanks to the new situation. This is the very horizontal approach and integrated approach in the cities. We are back in the European initiatives. Have you noticed that we have the 0.2% of ERDF? Now we are working on the delegated act. This is not finished yet. I hope it will be finished next month. But this is also a very interesting activity of the Commission. The Commission now proposes that it should be programs for at least 50,000 people. And the Commission will define the goals, the purposes, the topics every year. So it will allow to open a real interesting experimental elements inside the cities. So it shows that we are very happy that the Commission is back on the field. that the Commission wants to be active and they will push the cities. Is it dangerous for the cities? No. No. And I think the cities have discovered that this is not very dangerous. What is a really interesting debate, that when we propose, again, when we propose the delegation of management of the projects to the city level, the member states were absolutely against, almost all of them, but even more with the regions. I mean, the managing authorities of the regions, some of them in a very positive way. It means like, money is power. So who has the money has the power. But also this is very negative. I mean, positive is they are not prepared. I mean, the cities. If they want to enter in all the procedures according to the new financial regulation, it will be very difficult for the cities, and some of them share the view. Some of the cities say, okay, we're not prepared. But anyway, what is the result of the negotiations? That we have the list of the levels of delegation. The smallest level, I mean, the lowest level is the free choice of projects by the urban authority. It's not very easy for all the regions in Europe to accept it. I know the regions which explain to the cities that you can propose something and we will make the decision. No. According to the regulation, the minimum level is the free choice of projects. But before making free choice of projects, the urban authority should prepare the program. Should have the program for 7 years. And of course, when the program is accepted, they can make the free choice of project. And the maximum level is the global grant. Global grant for the cities, for the urban authorities. I don't think if any of the member states will use global grant. But this is an incredible change comparing to the situation 7 years ago. Because now the Commission is fighting for the delegation for the cities. They changed completely their attitude. I mean, they were not against. They were blocked by the member states. Now they are very active. We absolutely should have it. So this is the shift. What it really means for the cohesion policy, and this is very, very interesting. What will be the future of the cohesion policy? And this is the open question. Will we have the cohesion policy which will be traditional for the reducing disparities in future? It means the cohesion concentrated on the problems, policy concentrated on the motivating, facilitating in the less developed. Or will we have the cohesion policy which will be about the equal chances, new possibilities? It means also for the bigger ones. And it means the cohesion will be not mainly about the cohesion, but it will be about pro-growth. As you know, this expression is used very often, that this is a pro-growth policy, which is in fact what I was trying to explain before, that this is in the national envelopes. So it gives the real possibility. By the way, maybe Peter will tell you what is the percent of the European money in the investment money in some of the member states. And in some of the member states, proportion of the European money in the investment money is up to 90%. So there is no other investment money in the country except the European money. I mean, the champion now is Slovakia. Some months ago it was Hungary. So now Slovakia is about 90%. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is reality. So the cohesion policy is in fact a real investment policy of European Union. Maybe one day there will be another policy, and the open question for all of you and for the researchers is, okay, what about the future of cohesion policy in the context of the two-speed Europe? What will be the cohesion policy in the Eurozone? And what will be the cohesion policy outside of Eurozone, namely UK? And will it be the same funds, or will we have the convergence policy outside Eurozone and the pro-growth policy in the Eurozone? This is the question for next coming years, for next 2 or 3 years. Okay, just to summarize. First, the historical context is that the urban dimension is something which was, in fact, was neglected by the member states, by the regions, and by the cities themselves, because the cities, they were defending their independence and vis-à-vis the regions and member states. It has been changed because it's showing that the European instruments can facilitate some processes. This is first element. Second element, that the urban dimension was introduced, but it was mainstreamed, unfortunately, because of the reluctance of the website, but also because of the reducing the importance of the Commission in the practical elements of the policy. And it has been changed. It has been changed because and this is my private opinion, according to the Lisbon Treaty, the role of the Commission, of course, has been reduced. The most important today is the European Council. And the European Commission is always distributed. So if the Commission continues this way of withdrawing, we will see the very, very very, very reduced importance of the Commission. So this is about the urban dimension. And now we are back. So urban dimension is about the growth, is about the horizontal elements, it's also about the disparities, because in the cities we see more disparities than between the cities and the rural. So inside the cities, we see not only the quartiers difficiles in France, but we have the shrinking cities in Europe, and this is a real problem. Maybe we don't have Detroit yet, but we are not very far from this in some of the parts of Europe. So this is a real challenge. As I said, it's not very, very dangerous in political terms, but it proves that the European cohesion policy is not the system of distribution of money. This is policy making. This is policy making by the Commission on behalf of the member states. So that's why we are back in the urban dimension, and this is, as I said at the beginning, the urban policy or urban dimension, the cohesion policy, is maybe the only, but for sure the best possibility to show the integrated approach. But it should be integrated approach on the city level. It should be the expectation for the integrated approach on the national level, and it should be integrated approach inside the European Commission. And by the way, inside the European Parliament. Because we have a very clear separation of different committees. In the Parliament, who is negotiating with the DG Regio? The regional committee is negotiating. But we have around our colleagues from the Agri, from the Environment, from the Transport, and they don't share the same view like the people from the DG Regio. Because they think that the cohesion policy is too strong. The cohesion policy takes everything from different policies. They want to have to take the part of it to different policies. The question is how to do it if the other policies are not in the national envelopes. So as long as they are in national envelopes, it will not work. But that's why the urban dimension is so important. It gives the new possibilities. It opens the perspectives, and this is a very, very important in practice. So that's why I think that we should observe it very, very clearly, and I hope that it will be not again some kind of mainstreaming or something, and the Commission will be stronger and stronger on the field, because we need this kind of very important and strong actor on the field. If not, we will just have the exchange of experience, or it means the exchange of PowerPoints, which is not a very, very fruitful element. Thank you.